You know, we have been told a rather curious lie about human connection. We are taught that when two people meet, what matters most is how well they fit together, how smoothly their personalities mesh, how little friction exists between them. We speak of compatibility as if souls were puzzle pieces, designed to slide effortlessly into predetermined spaces. But I have observed something quite different in my years of watching the human drama unfold. I have seen that when two truly awakened souls encounter one another, something far more extraordinary occurs than this pleasant fiction of seamless harmony. Let me tell you what I mean by an awakened soul. I am not speaking of someone who has read the right books or attended the proper lectures. I am speaking of a person who has descended into their own depths and returned changed. Someone who has faced the shadow that lives within them, who has wrestled with their demons in the dark hours of the night and emerged not victorious but transformed. These are individuals who have stopped running from themselves, who have seized the endless performance that most of us mistake for living. When such a soul encounters another of its kind, the meeting is not comfortable. It is not the easy recognition we might expect. No, it is something far more unsettling and infinitely more valuable. It is as if two mirrors suddenly face each other, creating an endless reflection that reveals not flattering images, but the raw truth of what lies beneath our carefully constructed facades. I remember watching such an encounter once, between two people who had each traveled their own difficult journey toward consciousness. The moment their eyes met, I witnessed something remarkable. It was not attraction in the ordinary sense, nor was it the pleasant warmth of finding a kindred spirit. Instead, there was a quality of shock, almost of recognition so profound it bordered on alarm. Each saw in the other not what they hoped to see, but what they had become. And this seeing was simultaneously terrifying and liberating. You see, most of our human interactions are based on projection. We see in others what we need to see, what our unconscious demands we see. The lonely person sees potential companionship everywhere. The wounded soul sees threats lurking in every shadow. The unloved child, now grown, searches desperately for the approval that was denied them in their earliest years. We live in a world of mirrors, but they are distorted mirrors, showing us not reality but our own unmet needs reflected back. But when two awakened souls meet, projection becomes nearly impossible. The veils that usually obscure our vision become transparent. The games that ordinarily occupy our attention lose their power to distract. What remains is something both naked and sacred, the meeting of two human beings who have learned to see themselves clearly and therefore cannot help but see each other with equal clarity. This creates a peculiar phenomenon. In ordinary relationships, we spend enormous energy managing the impression we make, crafting the version of ourselves we believe will be most acceptable, most lovable, most worthy of connection. We become actors in our own lives, so skilled at the performance that we sometimes forget which parts are genuine and which are merely role. But in the presence of another awakened soul, this performance becomes impossible to maintain. The awakened person has already seen through their own masks. They have sat with their ugliness, their selfishness, their capacity for cruelty and weakness. They have made peace with the fact that they are not who they pretended to be, even to themselves. And having done this inner work, they possess a kind of X-ray vision that penetrates the performances of others, not with judgment, but with a recognition born of their own experience. So when two such souls encounter each other, what happens is not the comfortable merging we might expect, but something more akin to a collision. Each becomes a witness to the other's authentic self, and this witnessing creates a space unlike any other in human experience. It is a space where pretense becomes impossible, where the usual social lubricants of polite fiction simply do not work. In this space, communication takes on an entirely different quality. Words carry deeper meaning because they emerge from genuine places rather than strategic ones. Silence becomes pregnant with understanding rather than awkward with unspoken needs. The very air between them seems to thicken with truth, as if the atmosphere itself has been altered by the presence of two people who have stopped lying to themselves. But here is what surprises most people about such encounters. They are not always pleasant. In fact, they are often profoundly challenging because truth, even when recognized and welcomed, is rarely comfortable. When you stand before someone who sees you completely, all your carefully constructed defenses become not just useless, but absurd. The energy you have spent maintaining your image suddenly has nowhere to go, and this can create a kind of existential vertigo. The awakened soul who encounters another like themselves discovers something that shakes them to their foundation. They realize that they have been living with a kind of loneliness so profound, so complete, that they had forgotten what it felt like to be truly seen. For years, perhaps decades, they have moved through a world of sleepwalkers, speaking a language that no one else seemed to understand, carrying perceptions that others could not share, and suddenly, here is another who speaks that language. Here is someone who does not flinch when they mention the darkness they have wrestled with, who does not change the subject when they speak of the depths they have explored. The relief of this recognition can be overwhelming, like a person who has been holding their breath underwater finally breaking the surface. But this relief comes with its own terror, because to be seen completely means there is nowhere to hide. The awakened soul has grown accustomed to a certain kind of solitude, the solitude of being the only one awake in a room full of dreamers. They have learned to find comfort in their own depths, to trust their own perceptions, even when no one else validates them. This self-reliance becomes a kind of armor, protective but also isolating. When they meet another awakened soul, this armor becomes suddenly unnecessary and strangely burdensome. The walls they have built, not out of fear but out of necessity, are no longer needed. And the dismantling of these walls, even when welcomed, creates a vulnerability that can feel almost unbearable. It is like stepping outside after years in a cave. The light is what they have been seeking, but its intensity is shocking. I have observed that such meetings often trigger what appears to be conflict, but which is actually something far more profound. It is the collision of two complete systems of perception and understanding. Each awakened soul has developed their own relationship with truth, their own way of navigating the depths of consciousness. They have created their own internal compass, their own method of distinguishing between what is real and what is illusion. When these two systems meet, there is often friction, not because either is wrong, but because each has been forged in the fire of individual experience. The truth that one soul has discovered through their particular suffering may seem at odds with the truth another has found through theirs. And yet, beneath this apparent disagreement lies something beautiful. It is the recognition that truth itself is vast enough to accommodate multiple authentic perspectives. This friction serves a purpose. It prevents the kind of merger that would diminish both souls, the comfortable blending that would reduce the magnificent complexity of each individual. Journey to some watered-down compromise. Instead, it maintains the creative tension that allows both souls to continue growing, to continue discovering new depths within themselves. But perhaps the most remarkable thing that happens when two awakened souls meet is the birth of a new kind of love. Not the love of need, which seeks to possess and consume. Not the love of projection, which loves the other for what they represent rather than who they are. But the love of recognition, which sees the divine struggle in another human being and honors it completely. This love does not seek to complete the other or to be completed by them. It does not demand that the other fill the empty spaces within them or heal their ancient wounds. Instead, it celebrates the wholeness that each has fought to achieve. It is the love of one complete being for another, each strong enough to stand alone, each choosing to share their solitude rather than escape from it. In the presence of such love, both souls discover that they can be fully themselves without apology or explanation. They can speak their deepest truths without fear of being misunderstood or rejected. They can share their darkness without being asked to make it lighter, their light without being asked to dim it for the comfort of others. This creates a space of extraordinary freedom, but also extraordinary responsibility. When you are truly seen by another, when your authentic self is witnessed and accepted, you can no longer hide behind the excuse that no one understands you. You can no longer blame your isolation on the blindness of others. You must take full responsibility for who you are and who you are becoming. The meeting of two awakened souls is therefore both a gift and a challenge. It offers the profound satisfaction of being known, but it also demands the courage to continue growing under the steady gaze of another who will not let you retreat into comfortable illusions about yourself. It provides companionship for the journey, but it also makes it impossible to pretend that the journey is finished. So you see, when two awakened souls meet, they do not find the easy comfort our culture promises us. They find something far more precious and far more demanding. They find the terrible beauty of being truly known, and in that knowing they discover that love is not about finding someone who completes us, but about recognizing someone who has completed the same difficult work within themselves. These meetings are rare, rarer than we might hope. Most of us will spend our lives surrounded by those who sleep, and that is as it should be. The world needs its dreamers as much as it needs those who have awakened. But if you are one who has done the deep work, if you have wrestled with your own darkness and emerged transformed, then perhaps you understand what I have been describing. And if such a meeting comes to you, do not expect it to be comfortable. Do not expect it to solve your loneliness or heal your wounds. Expect instead to be challenged in ways you never imagined, to be seen more clearly than you thought possible, to be loved not for who you pretend to be, but for who you have fought to become. This is the great gift and the great terror of consciousness meeting consciousness. It strips away our last hiding places and leaves us standing naked before another human being who has learned, as we have learned, that the only real treasure in this life is the courage to be absolutely, uncompromisingly ourselves. In the end, this is what we are all searching for, is it not? Not someone who will make us feel safe from the truth, but someone who will help us live more deeply within it. The awakened soul knows this, and when two such souls meet, they create between them a space where truth itself can breathe.